Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, and welcome to the Encyclomedia Show. So today we are finally going to be talking about Walt Disney Treasures Wave 2. Now, for those of you who liked the last part, I got to apologize up front because I said that I would be doing this on a weekly basis and that the next episode would be up a week. Well, a month later, I completely forgot that when I made that first video, I was going on vacation and, seeing my mom graduate and stuff, so... I'm sorry, what can I say? I'm not a professional YouTuber. I just turn on the camera when I have something to say, and it kind of rolls with it. I even leave mistakes in, like when I burp or sneeze, You get to see that. Lucky you. But let's talk about the second wave. Here's the thing. Like we mentioned in the last video, the Walt Disney Treasure sets were made for the hardcore collector. They weren't made for the mass consumer. They only made like 150,000 copies. From what I can see on these ones, they dropped that number by 25,000, so they only made 125,000 copies of each of these ones. And but they still made a second set, so that means it was probably as successful as they wanted to be, but there were still some copies floating around that were not sold, so they just tempered it down a little bit. This is like the one collector DVD series where the inventory or the amount of copies they made fluctuated greatly, and we'll discuss it in each video. But starting with the first one, oh, by the way, there's only 3 releases that they did for this wave, not 4, just 3. So, a little disappointing, but it was easier in the wallet, especially since I was a lot younger when these came out, and, for finding $100, that's not very easy to do. The first one, keeping with the tradition of it all started with a mouse, we have Mickey Mouse in black and white. It's called the Classic Collection. This is number 11,831. Now this one has Steamboat Willie. It also has what is really the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, Plane Crazy. And this is the back so that you can see it if you want. Let's look at the discs. Okay, so the poster that they put for this one was for, of course, Steamboat Willie. I mean, did you really expect them to put anything else? The interesting thing about the discs, though, is that even though they're in black and white, they still show a fairly modern-looking Mickey Mouse. Except on disc 2, when he really did start looking a little bit more modern, and then on the disc they had him looking old-fashioned. I should mention that the wraparound has Roy Disney signature and Leonard Maltin's. That will be important for the next episode. Oh, by the way, this brand new will get you about $150 to $250. Used, you'd probably pay $80. The next one is arguably the standout of this particular wave. That is the Complete Goofy. This is number 61,485. This is the back. Now, the interesting thing about the Goofy set is I think this is the only Disney character that had 1 release on the Walt Disney Treasure set. Most of the characters had 2, and in one character's case, he got 4 releases. Like Pluto got 2 releases, Donald Duck got 4, Silly Symphony's got 2. You could probably argue 3 if you throw in a couple of the other collections, which we'll be talking about later. Mickey Mouse Club had several. There were so few Goofy shorts, they could fit it all in 1 2-disc set. Now, this is kind of a shame because Goofy shorts were probably some of the best shorts that Disney produced. On the other hand, if you're a fan of the character, this is good because you only have to buy 1 set, and this set will set you back $200, $300. So for those who can't afford it, let's look at what the discs look like. Because that's arguably why you're watching this. So they have... This was what the insert was. The image was used as a poster for the original theatrical release of the film Goofy in the Olympic Champ, 1942. That seems pretty fitting since the 2016 Olympics are about to end here. I believe they're ending this weekend. This is the first disc. That's what he looks like. Looks a little weird. And then we have the second disc. So So yeah, and by the way, if you should happen to get this set, keep an eye out for the short "No Smoking." It's kind of interesting, especially in this day and age, with how PC it is to smoke. And they don't air this cartoon anymore. I don't think they've aired it for years, even before this came out. But it has Goofy with a nicotine addiction trying to find a cigarette. And there's not even a Leonard Maltin introduction to describe that this was part of the time smoking wasn't considered that big of a deal. And it's really interesting to see like a Goofy cartoon where Goofy's just trying so hard to get a cigarette. So that's a standout short. Now, this one, I'm not entirely sure what they were really going for with this one, but the last one was Behind the Scenes of the Walt Disney Studios. This is number 22,733. And it has a picture of the Reluctant Dragon. Now, it has it because this is, to my knowledge, the one home video release of the theatrical version of the Reluctant Dragon. Most people have seen this as a short, but it was actually part of a movie. Sort of. You see, the movie was one of those economic movies. I'm sorry, my neck is itching right now. It was one of those economic movies during the wartime where Disney kind of had to pool their resources. So what they did was they had a famous comedian at the time whose name I cannot remember, but the story goes that he and his wife find the Reluctant Dragon book, and he's supposed to take it to the Walt Disney Studios to pitch it to Walt Disney to make it into a movie. Now, when he gets to the studio, he gets sidetracked and he starts seeing how the shorts are made, the movies are made. It goes from being in black and white to color at one point, I believe, if memory serves. And basically he sees how the inner workings of the studio works. Now, it was criticized at the time, and probably rightfully so, for basically being a making of thing that you charge money for. And it would never fly today. Not like this. This would be a bonus feature. Now the punchline of the movie is by the time he actually meets Walt, the work that he's just worked on, and it's the Reluctant Dragon in all of its glory. He spent so much time walking around the studio that they made the short before he got a chance to pitch it. So that's kind of what the movie's about. Interestingly, the Cinemark Theaters near me, which has the Disney Screen event, they had the full-length feature Reluctant Dragon as one of the movies one week. Like, I was shocked. So, and as for the rest of it, it's a kind of a mixed bag, admittingly. They have various making of things, how the movie studio works. And some of the archive stuff is interesting, how they like sold themselves to investors or presented themselves, as you say. But the thing about Disney is that for most of their Blu-rays and DVDs, minus Frozen, they are very good at making in-depth special features detailing the process. So, interestingly, even most hardcore fans who were buying this set knew how the studio operated and worked. So, it seemed kind of strange. And just to show what Robert Benchley, that's what his name was. Robert Benchley. He was the star of the Reluctant Dragon. And let's see. You know, I'm just going to... I know we normally look at the discs at this time, but I'm just going to look at some of this stuff. Okay. A Trip Through Walt Disney Studios. How Walt Disney Cartoons Are Made. Story of the Animated Drawing. The Plausible Impossible. Tricks of Our Trade. Tricks of Our Trade is actually a pretty interesting one. One of the bonus materials is the tour of the Disney Studio radio program, which is audio only. You know, so... anyway. I just noticed this. We should probably mention it now, but they have pictures for the entire Walt Disney Treasure set, which is interesting because a lot of these were sold out and you couldn't find them anymore. So, there you go. Alright, so, first disc, we have Mickey Avenue and Dopey Lane, which I have stood there. I have pictures. It won't show up in this video, but maybe it'll show up in a future video. And drawings of Stage B and C, which I've also been, but I don't have pictures because they're not allowed. You're not allowed to take pictures there. It should be noted that if you want to start collecting these sets and you want to start cheap, this is one of the cheaper ones you're going to find. I think this one, if it's brand new, it's like $80, but most of the time it caps out at $40 or $50. So this one's not too hard, not too expensive anyway. So anyway, this is Wave 2 of the Walt Disney Treasure series. Tune in. Hopefully next week we will discuss Wave 3, and that's where the set gets really, truly interesting. So what do you think? Do you have any of these? Do you like them? Have any favorites? What are your thoughts on them? I'd like to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.